Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Better Business Processes. Thank you for joining today. Okay, so we'll just go through some introductions first of all. So my name's Sam Connor. I'm part of the sales engineer team here at Intreface, and we're Bitrix24 Gold partners. So we specialize in the Bitrix24 software. We can help with pre-sale support, so we can discuss your requirements in detail, really help you to evaluate the Bitrix24 system. If you decide Bitrix is the right solution, we can then also provide our implementation services, so we can really design Bitrix for your specific way of working and get that implemented for you. If you are interested in the self-hosted edition, we can offer our own hosting services, and we provide ongoing dedicated support and training to really help businesses get the most value out of Bitrix24. Okay, so first of all, before we really focus down into business processes, if you're joining today's webinar, just to get maybe some more understanding as to what Bitrix24 is, let's just go through it at a high level what the Bitrix24 system actually encompasses. So Bitrix24 is essentially a collaboration suite of well in excess now of 40 different tools that you can use to help you to manage your business. And there are over 12 million customers now around the world that use Bitrix24. And the system is available in two different editions. So we have the Bitrix24 Cloud and also the Bitrix24 self-hosted solution. So if you're wanting to host Bitrix on your own private cloud or on a local server, we have both of those options available for you. And in terms of pricing, so prices start from approximately $49 per month for a cloud-based system. And for the self-hosted system, so starting with the Business 50 package, that is priced at $2,990. And that's the year one price. In year two, and then ongoing annually, you do need to pay a renewal fee, which is approximately 25% of the original license fee. Okay, so today's webinar is Better Business Processes. So we're going to be focusing here on how we can design and implement processes inside Bitrix24. But I think, first of all, it's just important for anyone who's brand new to Bitrix24 and understanding business processes. It's important to understand what actually a business process is. So essentially, a business process is a flow of information that is defined by a route, a scheme, or a stages of a workflow. And business processes within Bitrix24 allows you to execute and monitor workflows on many different objects, such as CRM items. It can be leads and deals, tasks, or HR processes as well. And Bitrix includes a very advanced editor tool with simple action blocks that you can use to construct your very own business processes. Now, first of all, what we'll go through today let's take a look at the different types of business processes. So we've got here 4 key business processes that exist within the Bitrix24 system. So first of all, we have here is the sequential business process. So I'm just going to take you over now to the Bitrix system, and let's just take a look at what a sequential business process is. So you can see here, the key elements of a sequential business process are that you have a series of consecutive actions on an item from a predefined start point. So as we can see here, the start point, we then got the flow here of the different actions with some conditions. And that then brings us to an endpoint here. So you have a predefined start and endpoints within a sequential business process. Okay, and then the next type of process, if we just go back to our presentation, we then have a state-driven business process. Okay, so we can see here, this is a state-driven business process. It looks very different to the sequential business process. And a state-driven business process does not have start and endpoints. As you can see here, there is no start or endpoints. What we have on a state-driven process is a series of statuses. So as you can see here, we have the draft status, the publishing status, and the approval status. And what we can then do on those different statuses, when those are marked on here, so this is looking at a document. When, for example, we go to the draft status, it's then going to trigger these child processes based on that status. Okay, so that's a state-driven business process. We then have CRM automation. So if we go into, for example, leads, and it's the same inside deals, and also we'll take a look at smart process automation shortly. But what we can do, say, for example, on leads, so if we go into our lead stages here across the top, then what we can do is we can set up automated processes. So at different elements here, so it could be, for example, whether to communicate with the client. So we could set up automated emails so they can be dynamically populated with information. So here, for example, we're pulling in the lead's name. Those automations can be triggered as soon as, say, the lead comes in at the new lead stage. They will run at the stage that lead is at, and we can also set up triggers. So, for example, if an email link, if we send out a campaign with a link, if the lead clicks that link, we can then automatically update what stage the lead is at here. And then the fourth type of process are RPA and SPA, so robotic process automation and smart process automation. So if we just go into our system here, robotic process automation essentially allows you to create your own business processes, but rather than using the sequential business process, here we use a lot of the functionality from the CRM system. So you can create your stages, and then we can use automations here to automatically trigger actions as your workflow goes through those different stages. So as we can see here, we've got a business trip, robotic process automation. So here we can see the different stages that we progress the business trip expenses through. And on each of those stages, we've got different actions that are going to be performed. Okay, so let's look at robotic process automation. And just to quickly show you, another type here is smart process automation. So this is housed within the CRM system. And essentially, this allows you to create your very own entities inside the CRM system. And essentially, you can create a workflow here. So, for example, here we have a returns SPA. So here we can create different stages of a returns workflow. And then we can use automations to streamline and automate that workflow. So as soon as the return goes to returns in progress, we're updating the client to let them know that their return is now in progress. So that's the fourth type there, smart process automation rules. Okay, so we've seen there the different types of business processes. So now let's take a look at how these processes are actually managed. So we'll look at where we can actually run all of these different types of processes. And essentially what we can do is run business processes in a huge number of different ways within the Bitrix system. So for example, on the cloud, we've got the HR and admin section in the feed. So for managing leave requests or expenses, they can be triggered directly through your feed section. Within the CRM system, we can trigger them using automations, or manually, we could trigger a new workflow inside any entity of the CRM. You can run processes on documents and within lists, on projects and on tasks. Now, with the self-hosted edition, it's also possible to actually do even further advanced running of business processes. So they could be triggered, for example, on user profiles, or even custom processes could be run as and when needed throughout the Bitrix24 application. So if we just now take a look at where we can run some of those processes in more detail. So inside the feed section, so if I'm wanting to run, say, a leave approval, I can go into here, and then we can see the form has opened up where I can select the business process. If I wanted to request some new annual leave, I could click on there and it opens up the form that we can now complete. And we'll have a look at this later on, but where we've got the information on the form here, that's completely customizable. So inside this form, you can decide what's mandatory for it to be inputted before the holiday leave can be authorized. So it's really customizable to how you would want your information to be processed. And if we go into the CRM, so we've mentioned how you can use automations to run business processes, but let's go into an entity, for example. You also here in the top right-hand corner, you can also select here to run a business process like so. And then if we go into the drive area, if we go into the company drive, we have the ability inside here to open up our business processes. So you could select a business process on a document. Just need to make sure here that you have configured and ticked activate business processes if you're wanting to run them on documents. Okay, so let's now go into projects, so where we can manage projects inside Bitrix. We've mentioned how you can run your workflows on lists. So essentially a list is where you can store tables of information associated to your projects. So if I go into here, for example, we've got some expenses. Now what I can do inside here is I could run an approval workflow. So as soon as the expense comes in, I might send it to the project manager to either approve or reject that expense inside the system. So you can run those business processes on many different areas of your Bitrix24 system. Okay, so let's just see if we have any questions. And if there are any questions as we go through today's webinar, please do add them into the question box and we can run through those for you inside the system. Okay, a question that has come in previously. So is Bitrix24 supplied with pre-built business processes? Yes, absolutely it is. So if I go into the feed section here, and if we just go into the workflow area, and then if we just go into the workflow directory, here you can see standard workflows. So as standard with the Bitrix24 system, now this is for all self-hosted and professional cloud and so enterprise cloud licenses as well. You have access to the business processes. So expense reports, general requests, leave approval, purchase requests, and business trips. So those are the standard workflows that you have with the Bitrix system. Okay, so we've seen there where we can run business processes, but now let's take a look at actually how we can create our very own business process inside the system. So how do we create business processes? So Bitrix24 includes a very advanced visual editor tool for building business processes. It uses simple drag and drop technology, and it includes over 40 pre-built action blocks that we can use to design our own business process. So for example, if we wanted to run a new business process based on the stage that a deal is at, we could create a sequential business process that looks at the stages of the deal. And when a deal is at a certain stage, we could then run specific actions based on that stage. So what we'll do to create that business process, let's go into the CRM. Okay, and then we're going to go into settings and CRM settings here. Then on the menu here, we can run to automation. And then inside here, we're going to click on the business processes section. Okay, and this now opens up all of our entities inside our CRM system. And as we mentioned with SPAs now, because you can create your very own entities, we don't just have leads, deals, contacts, and companies. There are really any types of entities that you would want to run on your CRM system here. Okay, so let's go into the deals here. So we want to create a new business process on deals. So I'm going to click on add template. And first of all, I'm just going to give our new business process a title. Okay, so we've added that title there. You might also want to add a description just to outline to other people actually what this business process does. And then we can decide actually how this business process is triggered. So if I clicked on when added, that would run this process when the deal is added into the system. or we can untick all and it's just manual, or when there's any change that's made to the deal. So let's save that information. Okay, so this is the start of creating a sequential business process. So as we have mentioned earlier on, you have a start and an end point on your sequential processes. For that information, now on the right-hand side, these are all of the action blocks that we have. So this is what we can use to start creating our business process. So let's now go into here and let's now add a condition. Now we're going to look at 3 different stages of the deal. So I want to add another element of this branch. So let's just click on the plus button here and we can click into the branch. So all you do is click in the cogwheel here, and then we can open up here to change this. So we're looking at a field and we want to be looking at the stage of the deal. So let's click on stage there. I want to change this so the stage is equal to when we're building the proposal. So I'm going to change this to called proposal stage. So that's now added. So it's going to be looking when the deal is at the build proposal stage. And I'm just going to now do the same across these other 2 branches as well. Okay, so we can go into here and update this, move this to, let's say, the negotiation stage. So we're getting close to closing the deal here. And our team here at Intreface, we can help with building out any types of workflows you may want to implement. So this may look quite daunting. Now, we're here as experts of the system, so we can help you to build out any types of business processes inside your Bitrix system. That's what we're here for, to help you. So please do get in contact if this is something you do need support with in the future. So now let's find the stage. Okay, there we go. And this is when the deal is won. So we're now looking at those 3 different stages of the deal. And now what I can do is I can add my action blocks that I want to run at those different stages. So let's say when we're at the proposal stage, I want to arrange a phone call with them. And let's say once we're at the negotiation stage, once we're getting close to closing that deal, I want to do a credit check automatically. So that's going to create the task there to run credit checks. And then we've got the 1 deal stage. So let's go into here and let's notify the sales manager. And let's also send an email to the client thanking them for their order. So you can see how here this business process is going to run different activities and actions at the different stages of our deal. So we can use the action blocks on the right hand side here to build out our process. Or the alternative way is if we go now into the deal section, then what you could also do is within the deals area, if you wanted to maybe configure automations in a slightly different way, you could do so using automated processes inside here. So inside here, if you wanted to email the client, for example, you could send an email. So you could populate the automation here. You can decide when these actions take place. So let's say I might just want to run this 1 day after the deal has been at this stage. And then we could add our templated email into the system here that we could then send out to the client. So you can really decide, it's your preference as to whether business processes is the right way, or if you want to use automations inside leads and deals. It's really customizable to how you would want to set up your own automations inside the system. Okay, so that's a look there at how we can create a business process. Now let's take a look at actually how we can trigger new processes inside the system. And we have briefly looked at this when we were creating our sequential business process there. So how do we trigger business processes? So there's quite a few different ways. One way we can do this is when we create a new record. So for example, if we create a new deal inside the system, we could then run that business process. Or it could be when there is an update to the deal, for example. So you can do on creation, on update. It's also possible just to run a business process manually. So we'll see later on how when we want to create a project, we could automatically have that done when the deal changes to a certain stage, or we could manually create that project using a workflow form that we can customize. Or it's also possible, and quite popular, is to use webhooks. So maybe actually from an external application, you might want to trigger that business process. And with the self-hosted system, we can use those external triggers, so email or via the API. So it could be you want to connect your Bitrix system, maybe with a finance package, for example, maybe your finance system. We could then feed information from your external system via the API, which could then trigger a workflow inside Bitrix24. And for example, one way we could do this is with the self-hosted system. We have access inside here in the control panel. You might want to actually trigger rules on mailboxes as an example. Okay, so with our self-hosted system, what we can do is we can create rules on mailboxes. So we can connect your mailboxes into the system and then apply rules. So for example, what we might do is when an email comes into this mailbox, we could automatically create a tech support ticket inside the help desk module. Okay, so inside the self-hosted system, you have access to a help desk. So when an email comes into here, we could then automatically have a help desk ticket created inside the help desk module, where we can then see all of the login history of the activity of that ticket. So just something to bear in mind with the self-hosted system, you have a lot more capability to create bespoke triggers for your Bitrix system. Okay, so now let's take a look at some live examples of how our business processes run. So first of all, let's take a look at, I'm going to show you really the same type of process, but in two different ways of how that can be triggered. So I'm going to go into deals first of all. And just before we actually do the process, I just want to show you the actual workflow in the system here. So what we're going to do here is when the deal is marked as one, what we're going to have take place is an automated workflow here, which is going to automatically create a project in the project management area of Bitrix24. And there's going to be certain tasks that are automatically added into that project for our team to start working on. So a workflow like this will save significant time because it does and creates the project automatically for you. It reduces human error, and it means your project team can automatically start working on that project as fast as possible. Okay, so let's go into here. Let's go into, so we've got, for example, here, a deal we're working on for some training course contracts. So we're progress the deal through the stages of our deal. And then once we get to close the deal, we're going to mark the deal as one. And what you're going to see now is this is automatically, once we come into here and add the expected close date for the project, it's going to automatically now create that project inside the system. So you can see we've been notified, it's created that project. And now if we go into our work group area, okay, what we can see is that tech code training course contract. It's automatically now created a project in the project management area of Bitrix. And if we go into all of our tasks, you can see those 3 tasks that we mastered inside the actual workflow. Those have been added into the system here. So you can see here all of the tasks it's created. It's brought through the checklist of items that need to be completed on the tasks, and it's brought in the relevant users as well who need to be on the task. So that's automatically created that project inside the system. And I think this is just a really nice way of doing it because it saves time. As soon as the deal is won, that project is created within seconds for the project management team to start working on. So I think that's a really nice way to use the business process. So we're automatically, on updates, because it's when the deal hits that one stage, we're creating the project. But now let's take a look at it in a slightly different way, which is maybe a manual way that you might want to create a project. So inside the feed section here, if I click on the new project, this opens up a form that we can complete to actually now trigger the creation of that project. So rather than when maybe the deal's won, I might want to actually maybe just add some more information before the project's created. So inside here, I could now create our project. Okay, so I'm adding a title. I can select the manager for the project. And we've got another role here, which is a designer role for the project as well. And then we want to add a deadline for the project inside the system. And if I want to, I could add a description. Okay, and you can see here some of these fields are mandatory, some aren't, so you can customize that. You can add more fields to this form and control as to what information needs to be inputted. So that's the description area. And then I can choose here what type of project I want to create. And this is important because based on my selection here, this will decide actually what type of tasks and users are added into this project. So I'm going to choose project B, and now let's send that inside the system. So I can click into here, it's opened up the form, so I just need to input the estimated completion date and approve that request. And that's now created the project inside the system. So if I go to our project again, we can see May 2023 project has been created. And if we go into the tasks area, you can see the tasks that have been created. So just another way of how we could create a project inside the system here. And I just want to show you the business process in the background for this particular project. So let's go into here, click on the new project workflow. Now, one thing you'll see here is when we've got the workflow, so first of all, we're filling out the information. You can see the condition here. This is what I want to show you. So we're able to select between project A or project B. And if we selected project A, then we can see the scoping task that would have been added to the project. But if you chose project B, you've got a design task and a development task. So based on that selection, that then routes the process down a specific channel. So you can really customize this. You could add more conditions into here as well. So you could really make this as powerful as you require. Or the alternative is to keep it as simple as you need as well to actually streamline any type of process. Okay, so let's look at how we can create business processes. So just moving on now to look at some of the differences here between the cloud and the self-hosted. We have mentioned quite a few already today. So if you're wanting to have access to the business process designer tool, you do need to have at least the professional cloud license, okay? So if you're on a basic cloud or a standard cloud, you're not going to have access to the business process designer tool. All self-hosted editions have the business process tool, okay? So, but with the cloud as well, you're able to create those processes on different areas such as documents, HR, within the CRM, and on lists. You can also create leads, for example, via web form submissions, okay? But with the self-hosted system, and I think the main difference and benefit of the self-hosted system is the option to run those processes on extra modules, so such as on profiles, or it could be triggering from an external application, such as when we have a mailbox connected. We could then automatically run a process on a role and create a help desk ticket inside the system. So if you're wanting to create business processes that are the most advanced they can be, you do want to have a self-hosted edition of Bitrix24. Okay, so in summary today, we've seen how business processes can be run on a huge number of areas of Bitrix, such as documents, CRM items, HR, or lists. And we've seen using the business process designer tool, we've got simple drag and drop workflow creator tools. So we can really help you to build really powerful processes inside the system here. And we've seen how business processes, they can be triggered in lots of different ways. So manually, automatically, or with the self-hosted system, we could use email or an API call. Okay, so here are a selection of our up and coming webinars. We're here at 11 a.m. Eastern time every other Tuesday. In the meantime, if you would like to have a call with us to discuss any needs or requirements, please do contact us, sales@intreface.com. And also follow us on our YouTube channel, where we're adding up new content every single week to our YouTube channel, whether that's quick wins or new features or demonstrations. Please do check out our YouTube channel for more details. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time today. I hope you found today's Better Business Processes webinar useful, and I look forward to seeing you all on our up and coming webinars. Thank you for your time today. Bye for now.